Hi, I'm Asha, and you'll be able to catch me on the LITE Morning Breakfast show. And to find out a little bit more about me, not saying that you want to, but if you did want to, come with me as I take these little mutts for a walk. Growing up was amazing. I spent, I would say, as much time as possible outside of school at weekends and stuff in Surambam at my grandparents' house. And my cousins lived just down the hill. Like we could literally walk out and unite, go downstairs, walk down the steps down to their house because it was on the bottom of the hill where my grandparents was at the top of the hill. And growing up was playing dress up, playing masak masak, eating chichong fan, getting putu mayam from the putu mayam guy that used to come visit, having lunches with my grandfather who used to come back. He was a lawyer then. Come back from the office at 1 o'clock and have lunch, and we'd have the Tamil radio playing. Well, I thought about being a singer for a while, and I recorded me singing, I think it was Laura Branigan's Gloria, and taking it up to the Chinese Emporium. I wanted them to sell the cassette. You know how they used to have all the cassettes on the shelves, and I didn't realize, I didn't know anything about record. I grew up in Malaysia, right? We had TV that only started in the late afternoon. We had TV that closed and shut down by sort of 11. So I didn't know anything about record labels, nothing. So I used to see all these cassettes and I was like, oh, I want to be a singer. I want to sell my records. So I thought you could just go to the Chinese Emporium and go and say, hey, can you sell my cassette? I'm tone deaf, so that didn't work out. I also wanted to be a hairdresser. I love doing hair. I still do to this day, love doing hair. So if anyone's got long hair, my son hates it because I'm forever trying to give him different hairstyles because he's got very long hair, and he hates that. Unfortunately for him, during this lockdown period, there's been a lot of, hair bribes, so I've offered to pay him to let me do his hair. So yeah, I wanted to be a hairdresser. Yeah, completely by accident. There was a sort of a casting for the Rim Chart show, I think. I can't remember, and somehow they were silly enough to hire me, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it was awful because I was told by one of the producers, I remember one of the producers was like, because at that time having an American accent was cool and my accent was not cool. So they're like, could you just put on an American accent? Could you just try? So I remember trying really hard and not even questioning it. See, that's the kind of weird thing, right? Nowadays, you completely question it and sort of like rail against the system. But back then it was very different. Anyway, I did that, and then I fell into a sort of audition for Channel V, and again, I don't know how, but they said, yeah, let's go with you. And so that's kind of where it started off. I feel very sorry for Non, who was my partner on radio, because he had to put up with just me being a gabbermouth. Sorry, they've smelled something very interesting. So that was kind of super fun, was my 4 to 8 p.m. Turning up at work and just kind of listening to music, playing great songs, talking about nonsense as you do. Yeah, so it was fantastic. I love radio. You make sure that if anyone's going to make you look like a fool or a silly billy, it's you yourself. So own it. So if you're not comfortable about doing something, you either own it or create a way for you to do it. So even if you look silly and you know you look silly, you're making yourself look silly. So I think it's kind of just, that was a big thing, was learning how to, I decided to learn how to write what needed to be done to create shows, so that, I only had myself to blame. It was like sort of, I could be accountable better. I think that was it.